Stories matter. If I were to tell you there was a car chase, it would be very important whether I told you that car chase took place in downtown Columbus or if it was in Fast and the Furious 17, the latest movie that came out, right? It matters what the setting is for a story, what the overall story is. And it's interesting in modern culture where society is losing a lot of the meta-narratives, the big stories that we tell ourselves that explain life, that explain sort of how we got here and where we're going and how we're connected, right? Those stories are losing their power in society, and we're becoming less connected as a result of that because we have different stories. And today's gospel reading from the 21st chapter of John is about the transformation of the story that the apostles understand that they're set within. And so this is the third post-resurrection appearance of Jesus, and the disciples are out fishing. And then Jesus appears and tells them to cast their nets over the other side of the boat, and they're filled with fish. And it sinks in that this is Jesus, that he truly was raised from the dead, because the disciples had gone back to fishing because they had lost faith in the story that they had been following for the previous 3 years. But when Jesus died, right, they weren't certain that that was a true story. So they went back to what they knew. They went back to comfort food, to a previous story that they knew. But then Jesus shows up here, and the story changes. And the disciples see themselves in a bigger story of God's love and God's grace and God's power even over death. And God's kingdom then becomes the overarching story and guides everything they do for the rest of their lives. And so the question for us today, right, is what's our story? Do we see ourselves in that larger story of God's kingdom?